All right, hi everyone. Welcome to today's 2018 web app training session. My name is Jamie Brun and I'm part of the support team here at SuiteFiles. So just to clarify what this training session is really all about, it's going to be about the new changes, the new features, the new way of doing things, and our new version of the web app, which you should be able to see on my screen here. So we're not going to go through everything in the apps. It's just going to be basically what's new, or if there's a new kind of way or method of doing things. Now, if anyone has any questions along the way, you can put them through the tool into the Q&A section. I'll be keeping an eye on that, so feel free to ask questions at any time. We'll also be recording this and uploading it onto our YouTube channel. And if anyone's interested in getting a copy of the recording sent to them, feel free to contact our support team, support@suitefiles.com, and just ask for that recording. All right, cool. So let's get straight into it. So our new version of the web app has a new layout, which you'll notice. Things are still similar. Some things are just in different places on the screen. So right now we're at our home screen. On the left-hand side, we have our folder pane. This was in the same location in the old version. However, the navigation tabs, which were previously on the left-hand side, now at the top here under the search bar. So you've got all of the same ones: files, favorites, recents, images, tasks, scans, and under the More tab is the admin sections, so managing users and groups, managing templates. Then we've also got a new feature in here, which is a recycle bin. So we'll go through some of the new navigation methods as well. One of the new navigation features we have is a folder filter. So if I go into my clients folder, you'll see that we now have a text field right at the top that says filter for folders. This was actually in the old version, however, we didn't have a text box for it, so it was very, very subtle and something that was kind of impossible to know about unless you were told, really. So we've actually made that obvious and actually put in a text field for it, which makes a lot of sense. Makes things a lot easier and more noticeable. And the way to use this is actually to type in the beginning of the name of a subfolder which you would like to filter down to. So for example, if I was looking for just the subfolders in my clients folder that began with the letter S, I would type S, hit the enter key on my keyboard, and it would show me all of my subfolders in this folder which begin with that letter. If I do SAM, for example, SAM, hit the enter key on my keyboard, it's going to show me subfolders which begin with those letters. So because it's doing it based on the beginning of the name matching the letters that you type in here, if we were to type in corp, for example, and hit the enter key, it's not going to filter down to any subfolders because that doesn't match the beginning of the names of any subfolders. So that's how the folder filtering works. Really useful for the clients folder in particular, when you've got a lot of subfolders to go through, and it can just be a bit quicker and more convenient than using the quick search as well. You can also use that folder filtering without even typing in this text field. So let's say we just go into the clients folder, we don't touch that text field, but we just start typing in letters on our keyboard. I'm going to type in 99. The web app will just detect you pressing keys basically, and it will filter those subfolders based on what you've been pressing. So we can see that it actually applied that filter and it's showing us the subfolder which matches that. So that's our new folder filtering feature. Navigation tabs. We've got, so the user settings are now accessible by going to the top right of the browser. Clicking on your username here. So I'm going to click on where it says Jamie. And if we go into user profile settings here, This is going to take us to our user settings or our user preferences. What you can do here is you can go into the file preferences tab, probably the most useful one here to know about, and you can set up your default preferences for things like whether you see archived content, whether you can see times and dates for files. This setting in particular, show times and dates, will determine whether you can see the timestamp in the date last modified column for files. You can also choose whether Office files will open into the browser or not, and whether emails will open into the browser or not. If you need to reset your search cache for any reason, if it hasn't updated when you've been renaming folders or something like that, basically if the results just don't seem to be right or updated, you can go into the search section here and click the reset search button there to reset your search cache. We also have our download center. Previously, there's like a little grid icon at the end. I think it said just what the name of the app was to download. Now, if you need to download and install any of the SuiteFiles apps, you will click on your username at the top right and click Download SuiteFiles, which will open our little download center here, and it will tell you the name of the app and have a download button to download the appropriate app. If you click the read more links for any of these, it will take you to the installation instructions on our help center, which will show you through the process of installing that particular app. And yeah, the download button will just take you to the appropriate place to install the app, or for Outlook and Drive, we'll just download the install files. So that's our download center. So the file options and the folder options have changed slightly in how you access them. If we go into a folder that contains files as well, the new way to access your file options is to click on the 3 dots at the far right hand side of a listed file. This will give you all of your options. So if you need to download, share, delete, archive, all that kind of stuff with the file, you can just click on the 3 dots. That will bring up your options for that file. If you hover over a file, you'll also notice these 3 like bubble icons that appear. It's just a quicker way to access particular file options. The first option here is to download the file. The second one is to share it. And the third one is to open it up for editing. If we want to select multiple files to work with, you just hover over the file and a checkbox will appear. And you can just tick that and then just tick the rest of them and then select your file action from the options above here. If you want to access the folder options, you click on the 3 dots next to the folder name, and this will give you all of your options to do with folders. You can also create your subfolders from here and do all of the appropriate folder options from this menu. Now, if you need to create new files, you can click on the Create button at the top right here. And this will give you an option to create a new folder or a new file from templates or any new empty files here. If we're a SuiteFiles admin, so we're logged in as a SuiteFiles admin, what we can actually do now is instead of having to go into a folder to access its options or some of the particular options there, what we can do is from its parent folder, we can just right click on that subfolder and we'll get a couple of options. So we can just rename the folder, manage the permissions of the folder, or delete the folder. So it gives us a really quick way to access those 3 options, particularly if you're deleting folders and you want to delete a couple of folders at a time. It's much quicker to just right click it and click delete, then go into it and go into the options and then click delete for each folder. But yeah, in saying that, you do have to be a SuiteFiles admin to access that. So the recycle bin that I mentioned is accessible through the More tab, then clicking on View Recycle Bin. The recycle bin basically allows you to see all of the files or folders that you've recently deleted, and it gives you the option to click the Restore button and restore these back to its original location. So that's super useful. Previously, you would either have to get someone to go into your site's backups and then go into a date of the backups and go through the restoring from backups process, or you need them to contact our support team and have them do it, now you can just go into this one tab and just click a restore button. It's just really, really nice and convenient. If you're an admin, you will see items that all users have. If you're an admin, you will see all items that all users have deleted. If you are not a SuiteFiles admin, like this user that I'm signed in as, in this new tab here, if we go into the recycle bin, we will only see the items that we have deleted. We won't see what other users have deleted from here. And saying that, you won't need this, I guess, unless you actually have permissions to delete items, which is a permission that has to be assigned to your user. So yeah, that's the recycle bin. Really, really useful. We also have template categories as a new feature. I'm just going to go back to my admin login here. So if you are a SuiteFiles admin or you have permissions to manage templates, what you can do is you can go into the More tab, then Manage Templates. What you can actually do is you can create template categories. I'm just going to quickly delete a couple here. What you can do is you can create a template category to assign a category into, just to help you kind of manage the templates a lot easier, makes things a lot more organized and easier for your users as well. So to create a template category, just within the template browser or the template manager in SuiteFiles, you just click the plus icon next to where it says categories. You type in a name for your new category. You click the create category button. It's going to create that new category. We should see it listed here. And what we then want to do is just go into our templates, and let's say I want to add the shareholder consent form file template into my category IT. I would click on the three dots next to the name of the template. I would hover over add to category, and then on the left hand side here I would select the category. Now if I go into that template category, I can see that that file template is now under this category. So the categories work similar to folders, however, they're not actually folders, and you can't do things like create subcategories or subfolders kind of thing under them. What it looks like for a standard user using categories is when they go to create a new file from a template, they will see this window here, and they will see the template categories listed on the left-hand side. They can click on a category just to see that category's particular file templates. So as you can see, makes things much nicer and organized. If you have a lot of templates in one area, you can also there we go. You can also use the search bar at the top right here, and you can just use this to filter down to a file template. So that is template categories. The other new things are really around permissions. So this is something specifically for admins. So if you're a SuiteFiles admin, if you go into the More tab and then Manage Users and Groups, it's quite different to how it was in the previous version of the web app. So on the left-hand side here, we have these special groups. Site admins will show you all of the users who are SuiteFiles admins in your site. All contributors will show you who are just standard users in your site or who has access to your site. For most people, it should just be everyone or everyone except external users. That everyone member is actually an Office 365 group, which just means anyone in your Office 365 account can access and log into your SuiteFiles site. Then we've got a list of all of our security groups here. And we also then at the bottom have a list of all of our users. One of the new things is if we go into a user, we actually have the ability to manage specific permissions. So previously you just had to make a user an admin if you wanted them to be able to delete stuff or work with templates. And the problem with that is that they could override folder permissions and just do anything a normal admin could do. So now, instead of making the user an admin, you can say, that you just want to allow that user to manage templates. So you can click yes. You want the user to delete files. Yes. Maybe you don't want the user to be able to download folders. So you select no, and then you just leave user as admin set to no. This means they can manage templates and delete files, but nothing else the admins can do, and they won't override folder permissions. They can't do things like set up permissions themselves or manage users. If you choose to say the user is an admin, this will just give them all of the permissions, make them a site admin, and they'll be able to override folder permissions. You can also see some other information about users here, so you can see when they first logged in, last logged in. You can also see which security groups they are currently a member of, and you can see which files they've recently accessed. So that's the new stuff around individual user permissions. In terms of the folder permissions, there's also some new things there. So the process for creating a new security group is pretty similar, just different kind of buttons and stuff. But to create a new security group, you just click on the Create Group button at the top right here. You just need to enter a name for your security group. Let's just call this something that we don't already have. There we go. And once you create a group, you can just click Add Users to this group, type in the name of users, select the users from the drop-down list, and once you've entered all of the users you want to be a part of that group, you can click the Confirm button. If you click Add Users again, it will just add these users as extra users in the group. It won't just replace these. So you can keep updating it all the time. You can hover over the red icon and then click the delete button. If you want to remove a user from being part of that security group, if you need to delete the entire security group, you just click the red delete group button at the top right here. Some default groups in here are the site members group, site owners group, site visitors group. Leave all of these groups. Please try not to delete anything from these unless we've told you what to do, or unless you do know what you're doing, as messing with these groups can completely mess up the access to your site for your users. The site members group, so you're aware, is the group that will hold the SuiteFiles admins. The site members group will be all of the people who have access to your site. And remember that everyone user is actually just everyone in your Office 365 account. The owners group here is what will show you your SuiteFiles admins, who are the admins of your site. This visitors group is just a default group. Don't do anything with it. It's not needed, but just leave it there. So that's creating security groups. If we want to apply folder permissions, again, it's also changed a bit. So let's say I go into my business folder and I want to manage permissions for our marketing folder. I can go into manage permissions. I can say, yes, I want to customize folder permissions. So I click yes. And then what I can do is I can choose which groups will have access to this folder. And maybe this one. And if I just leave these groups here and close that, what it will mean is that only users who belong to these two security groups will be able to access this folder. No users outside of these two security groups will have access to the folder. They won't be able to edit it. They won't be able to actually see that that folder is there. If you want to customize permissions a bit further, you can click on the Advanced tab at the left-hand side here, and you'll see a list of all of your security groups you currently have. And there are three options. Edit will allow them full access to the folder, allow them to upload and create contents. Read only will give them access to the folder and its contents. However, they'll only be able to open and read items. They won't be able to create new items, and they won't be able to update files. Files will open as read only. None is the equivalent to just not being a part of a security group that has access to the folder. So they will not have any access, and they will not actually be able to see that that folder exists. So that's how these permissions work. And it's quite quick to just go through here and select the various permissions. And you just click the little close icon here, and it will save those settings. So that is the permissions, and in actual fact, that sums up our 2018 introduction and training session. If anyone has any questions, feel free to put them through in the Q&A section. I'm keeping an eye on that if anyone has any questions. Otherwise, if anyone has any feedback, any questions, any concerns, would like help with anything, then always feel free to contact our support team. We also have our new help center, which I might have failed to mention. So we also have a new help center, which is suitehelp.suitefiles.com. This has the updated content for our new version. If you have new users, we've also got a get started guide here, which will take them through kind of all of the basics of SuiteFiles. And these buttons have links to things like video tutorials. So yeah, it's quite useful. So yeah, that comes to an end. There will be a recording going out on our YouTube channel. So as I said, if you're interested in viewing that or sending it to anyone else, feel free to contact our support team and they'll send you the link, or just Google SuiteFiles 2018 training, and I'm sure it will come up there. All right, thanks for your attention, everyone. I hope that was useful for you. And yeah, I hope you all enjoy the rest of your afternoons. Thank you.